Relax, come as you are, and spend an enjoyable night out with the entire family. No parking problems, no babysitting problems. And there are always tasty snacks at our modern refreshment stand.
Thanks, folks. And once again, welcome back.
Nobody pray for me. It been a day for me. Yeah, yeah. Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances. Finesse a nigga with some counterfeits, but now I'm counting this. Parmesan where my accountant lives. In fact, I'm down in this. You say with my roommate tastes like
Custom Underground.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Custom Underground. Yes, we already have 6 episodes. Wow.
Whoa.
I'm excited for this show.
Yeah, same here.
We have Damien and Beyondo on this week, and we talk about crotch cracking, among other things. Some great tips from both Damien and Beyondo, so be sure to stay tuned.
Yeah, we talk about crotch cracking or pelvis popping, or it's a great episode. You know, when we had Beyondo on the phone, you guys will see here. Even I was a student, so we'll switch it over right away to torso or crotch cracking, since this is a spin-off of our last episode in which we covered torso cracking, and here we are.
Hello, we are here with the great Beyondo to talk about crotch cracking. So stay tuned for some good tips and details.
I've cracked a few crotches in my time.
Yeah, that's something that's really hard to do. When we seen your work in progress picture, I was like, oh man, we need to get Beyondo on here to talk about that, because like a lot of people don't even torso crack, but like very, very few people even know how to crack the crotches.
There's got to be a different term for it.
Yeah, pelvis smash. No, crash. Cracking.
Pelvis pulverizing.
Pelvis popping.
So how do we go about the pelvis pulverizing?
Well, it's basically the same as when you do the lower torso. I don't know if you do. Do you want to talk about that too?
Yeah, we covered that. I got a video on that, on how to get the lower torso, but I mean, well, I guess this would be a good point to talk about different methods. I use like a box cutter and slice in the top part until I can get an opening for a flathead, and then I put it in there and twist it, weasel it out, and it pops open. But maybe you have a better way to do it.
Well, yeah. I feel like the lower torso is actually harder than the crotch piece.
Oh wow!
On some of the older ones, it's almost impossible.
That's true.
Like if you can tell almost right away, if you can't get your knife in there, you're gonna have a long night.
Yeah, you're gonna break it. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But then once I move on to the crotch piece, I do it the same way. Like, heat it up. Obviously, I saw you talking about on the last episode, going in at the shoulders and stuff. But there's nowhere to go in like that on the crotch. You have to actually, pierce the seal with a box cutter or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same if you can get in there, and if on one of the new ones you'll start twisting, it'll just fall apart. And on one of the old ones, you might have to actually dig your knife into there and cut. There's a peg in there, yes, that's very thick that you almost have to just cut through.
Oh, wow,
and
that could
be pretty dangerous. I mean, it's all wet and hot.
Yeah.
The crotch is all wet and hot and slippery. And you're trying to...
That sounds like a different episode.
And so you're trying to get it in there, and if it slips, you're putting so much force. So I'm pretty... I guess I doubt you could sue me if you cut yourself trying to cut a torso apart or whatever.
No, you can't. We have no liability. This is at your own risk.
So go ahead and do it. I don't care. Cut your finger off.
So I mean, so when you have the part of the, let's say like this part here, you got the this what I guess what do you call it? It's kind of a peg, but not really.
Yeah,
But
peg, I guess.
yeah, do you cut into that or do you go off to the
That's
side of it?
I usually start right there at the into the peg,
Okay.
and but push down far enough that you can tell you're not trying to split the peg. You're down in there.
Okay.
But
So
on some of the, have you actually tried doing it?
I've tried doing it, and to be honest, I've failed.
You failed.
I mean, I didn't ruin it. I was able to grab the pliers and be like, okay, well, this crotch isn't. I actually just tried it when I was recording the instructional video, which is out now, by the way, for those who are listening. I was like, I had a junkyard dog
Studios at YouTube.
at YouTube, yeah. So I mean, I had a junkyard dog legs, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna try this because I never need his legs, and I got to the top part and it's kind of split in like a Y, and I could not go any further, and I'm like, man, okay, I'll just wait till beyondo gets on.
Yeah, once that happens, once you start splitting that into a Y, that piece is pretty
Screwed.
yeah. So that's when you probably have to start actually just cutting it in half.
Okay.
Like you're no longer just sliding it in there and popping the glue apart. You're actually cutting through the plastic.
Bending the plastic, yeah. Okay.
But you still need to make it pretty hot because then it, if you get a sharp knife and a hot piece, it'll melt right through.
Yeah. So okay. So there's a peg in the upper portion, or is there a peg in the lower portion of the crotch area?
Yeah, the piece in the upper torso, the biggest hole, like it's a.
Yeah, the one right underneath the neck joint, ball peg one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
There's basically that on the inside of the crotch, and then there's two little ones. But you basically need to cut through the big one.
Okay. So are you able to pull it apart intact, or do you have to make that whole break?
Well, I'm usually pretty lucky that it will actually split and the glue will separate. But if you do have to cut it in half, you're probably going to have to use glue.
Sorry, I dropped my
You
I
can see
dropped
you're
my
looking for
crotch
something.
here. I was looking for
I
it, and
dropped my crotch.
then this. That's what baggy jeans will do.
Need a belt.
This segment of the Custom Underground is rated X.
So, do you end up gluing back your parts together? I know that's a question we asked the Jordan Elite 14, and I mean, both of us were kind of like sometimes not, sometimes yes, but you're the vet.
Almost never. Usually the head will keep the top together, and then the top will keep the torso together, and then the torso keeps the crotch together. But, every once in a while you'll have to use
some
glue.
If
And
it's,
as long as you don't get it in any of the joints or anything, you'll never know.
So do you have any tips to when you're reassembling torsos and stuff? I know some people trim up the edges, some people don't. Usually I don't need to, but do you ever? Well, how do you try to get a flush fitment on reassembly?
Usually you can tell right away. Like, this is going to go right back in just fine.
Yeah.
And when you know it's not going to, I guess when you're putting it back together, it doesn't hurt to heat it again. That's
a good point. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, and then either remelt the glue or kind of loosen up the places where it was supposed to go. And then if it looks bad at the seams, if it's one I'm going to paint the skin tone, that doesn't even matter. If it looks too bad, I'll just start over and maybe save that one for when I'm going to paint. But
okay. And then could you explain to some new customizers or even me, because I don't know any of this torso or crotch cracking, why would you want to do it? I mean, I would assume that it's because of some of the ratchet hip joints that you can't pop off like the ball joint ones. But could you explain why you prefer to? Because I thought that was really interesting when I seen that work in progress picture, which it looks amazing. We didn't show anyone else because that's kind of our treasure, I guess. But it looked awesome.
Thank you.
It really does look great.
Yeah, it's coming along. Maybe I'll send some more tonight. But yeah, the reason I do it, well, I've actually never used the ball joint hips.
Oh wow.
I hear about them, and I actually have seen them, but it seems like whenever I want to use one, the one I'm replacing it with doesn't have the ball joint.
Yeah.
So they both have to have it.
Yeah.
And I'm so used to it now, I just do it. I don't even check if they have the ball or not.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Because it's not. Yeah, once you get it down, it's like torso cracking. Like it's not a big deal.
And I mean, I could only assume that that's so much better than trying to crack that. I find on the ones that have that ratchet, I guess for lack of a better word, that ratchet hip joint, that these upper top of the quads, these actual hip pieces on those ones are plastic, or hard plastic. On the ball joint ones, they're a soft plastic. They're like a harder rubber kind of, so you can
you
take
can
those
tell
off.
that way.
Yeah, but
I've never even known.
I've learned the hard way because
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
actually cracked one of these in half,
Uh-huh.
and that was a pain because it looked like then you got to see inside where that rubber surround has those fittings and those housings inside those joints, but I couldn't really. I was able to glue it back together, but I could only imagine now in hindsight how much smarter and better it would have been if I would have just cracked the torso instead of crack those legs, because now when I bend it, that's the area that has a lot more torque on it as opposed to the crotch itself.
Right. Yeah, it's all focused on that ratchet piece, and it's almost separate where it's loose.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I wish I would
Yeah,
have
I've done that before on accident. I've accidentally cracked the upper, and yeah, there's all kinds of. It doesn't go back together really.
No, it really doesn't, because it's not even something that I feel like it's got pegs inside, but I don't think it's meant to be taken apart.
No, I don't think so either.
Wow.
Yeah, so I usually do it just because. Yeah, I guess I'm used to it. You were saying how you can get into the crevices more, but
Yeah,
you can do that with the ball joints, I guess, too.
Yeah, I mean,
So, like any customizing tip, your best tip is practice, 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 patience, patience, patience.
Yeah, mostly patience. If you just keep putting it in the boiling water, boil it again, try it again. If you do that 100 times, I mean, it's going to take forever, but it's going to work.
yeah. I actually said something similar on that video because I was like, that's a big thing. I mean, everyone's like trying to crack it really fast and they're eager to get their torso open or whatever, and you don't allow the plastic to heat up enough. So I'm gonna have to try to crack some crotches.
Yeah, get out there. No, yeah, the heat and the patience. Yeah, it's because the more force you need to use, the more it's going to go into the wrong spot and break there.
Absolutely. So what about I guess one other thing, because I feel like, well, first of all, like, thank you for coming on here, because this is like so much knowledge being dropped, even for me.
Knowledge. Thank you very much for being
I'm a student,
thanks for
here
having
in
me.
this interview. I'm a student as well. So one of the other things is, like, do you seal your parts before you assemble? Because that's what I do. I kind of seal them before I assemble, and then I seal them after that too. But
Yeah, especially at the elbow joints, the knee joints. I'll seal those before. Yeah, anywhere where it connects at a joint, like the head, I could do it after or whatever. But
yeah.
I like to seal it so then it can still move.
Wow, well, that's amazing.
When I first started with the bone crunching ones, they didn't even have, joints.
Yeah.
It was just a leg. So that's how I was used to doing it, and I used to start off doing it that way. But as soon as you move an arm or try to bend the elbow, the paint scrapes off.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, with more articulation, we have more areas to prevent paint rub, and it's like more problems almost.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. thanks again. I mean, this was amazing. This is really knowledgeable, and I think everyone else needs to know about this because it's like, I mean, honestly, I think that I've never seen anyone crotch crack like that. So it's like something with so much experience that can only, shed that knowledge. So again, thank you.
No, thank you. And yeah, like I said, if you've done the lower torso, like the abs, it really is, it's the same almost. Like you just have to force your knife in there at that seam, and then, yeah, it's the same.
Do you use a flathead at that point too, or what's your favorite weapon of choice?
I actually just use a pocket knife, like one of those little Swiss Army knives.
Oh, wow, okay.
And if you go down with the point, if it's hot enough, it'll slide down there, and all you have to do is twist.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you do need to get in there, a flathead, or I think you were talking about like reverse pliers.
Yeah.
I'll do that, but kind of my own. I'll just pull the pliers apart.
Oh yeah, just
stab it in there and pull.
I recently came across those pliers over back at my dad's place, and those ones were like from 13 years ago. Like have a spring, so maybe for like second tournament, we should have like a care package for the customizers.
Oh, like one of those cooking shows where you have to.
Yeah.
You have to use the parts you're given.
Yeah, that's what. We had an interview yesterday. We had interviewed Damien, who was on the amateur side of the bracket, and he's like, it'd be really cool for the last one is if both of them got the same parts, and we're like had to make the character out of these. So I was like, man, that would be pretty crazy actually. So.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see who you can send someone like. Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
Oh, that's okay. My dog's right down here too.
Yeah, if you had to make give somebody a Mark Henry and tell him to make a Rey Mysterio.
Oh,
there you go.
That'll show who's talented.
That's true. No decals and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Again, we appreciate it, and thanks for taking time.
Love having you on the show. We almost guaranteedly will have you back on the show. Thank you for sharing your veteran knowledge with us. We love to hear what you have to say, and it's really important, I think, for our fans out there.
For sure.
All right. Thank you. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll be listening when you post it.
Awesome. Well, take care.
All right. You too.
See
Thanks.
Yeah, so that was an awesome interview with Beyondo. I enjoyed that. He's always awesome to have on the show.
The amount of knowledge he has, I wish I could, have 2% of that or something. Just, it's amazing how much knowledge he has. And I'm very grateful that he's willing to share it with us. Like you said, we're both students here learning from him. And it's something I hadn't really thought of, but we looked at that work in progress picture, and the way he laid it out was just beautiful.
Yeah, I was like, we need to do this because I think even compared to like some of the younger guys in the game, I feel like I'm an OG, and then it's like to me, Beyondo's an OG. He's like a legend. So it was really awesome because I learned a lot.
Out of custom retirement for this tournament.
Which we both forgot to ask him this time. Where can people find more of your stuff? I know he's got a website. We're going to post that link here because we need to give Beyondo, but it's got older work, but he needs to come back out and have a presence because his work is a treat, for anyone who doesn't already know. And to some of the young kids, like this is what you want to be when you grow up. In terms of
you need to have one of those flashing things, like they do the 800 numbers.
Yeah, I can edit it in right here. I'm actually going to edit it in right here. Boom. So this is where you'll see it. All right. And then next we talked to one of our amateur side. Yesterday, our last episode, we talked to Elite. Yeah, amateur very loosely. We talked to Elite Jordan. He was a really cool dude. It was a fun interview with a British friend. And now we're talking with Damien, who runs ECW Figure Fed on Instagram. And this is perfect timing.
What a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. He had a lot of knowledge, and we had a great talk, actually. And not that I'm surprised. I'm always surprised because I hope that this stuff goes well because we're the first ones doing this kind of stuff. Like, who wants to, who's talking about figure customizing in a podcast or TV type network? So
Could have talked to him all day, though. I mean,
yeah, we could have.
just like Beyondo. I mean, we could have talked all day to Beyondo and just soaked in that knowledge. So,
And
really
you know what
exciting.
would be cool? Like after the first season, would be cool to have like a round table with a couple people on, if we can figure that out, and have like a discussion going on, because it would be really cool to see the amount of talent inside this contest or tournament. It's gonna be there's gonna be some great customs, that's for sure. So let's throw it over to Damien right now.
Hello and welcome to the Custom Underground. We have as a special guest Damien from ECW Figure Fed. Yay! Welcome. So, what's your experience with masked wrestlers?
I've actually only done one actual mask custom since I got back into the swing of things, and that was the Pentagon I did in the very beginning. That's about it. Other than that, this would be my second mask custom.
Excellent,
Wow.
excellent. Means a lot of excitement, competition. That's good. What's your process with customs? What do you kind of look for? What do you match up?
For me, it's always finding a good place to start, like a really solid reference picture or something like that, and working from there. Heads has gotten a lot easier with guys doing head casting and stuff, so that's something I can kind of take a little less time on, but it's a lot on finding the good reference picture and where to start.
Yeah, we've talked about that before on the show. Like, if the guy's got tattoos and things, it's really hard to find 360 views of tattoos and things, so that can be really difficult.
Definitely. I found this, and one of the more helpful things is the 2K community. If you go into the customization portions, you can find a lot of those tattoos and images.
Oh wow,
And
that's a good
rip them
tip.
from there.
That's a good tip.
It's a really
That
good
is
tip. Yeah, I wouldn't even thought about that.
So how long have you been customizing?
So I got back into the swing of things about a year ago, but I come from the very early days of wrestling figs.
Same here.
The Showdown days, the days of Brian Beatty's, and H-Break Kid making some monsters. So I've been around the block for a while now.
Awesome.
What was your first custom?
Very first one that I did as a kid would be a TTL TTL NWO X-Pac. Getting back in the swing of things, it was an AJ Styles I did. One of the first ones I did almost a year ago was an AJ Styles of the Elites, the Mattel Elites.
Excellent.
What do you mean by
So-
getting back into the swing of things? Like, was there a time where you stopped watching wrestling, or?
I did. Probably when a little bit in high school, around high school, like junior, senior year of high school, I stopped for a while. I didn't really watch any wrestling through college. I knew about it, like would go down the aisle in the store. If I would happen to go to a toy store, I'd walk down the aisle, see what figures were coming out, but didn't really buy anything for about, probably, not going to lie, maybe 10 years.
Oh man, that's so weird. I asked that because I was kind of the same way. It was like, 2003, 2004 when they relaunched ECW, and that kind of fell on its face. I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, the rebranding ECW is kind of one of the more painful things I try not to remember about.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that we both had that kind of, hiatus.
What was your favorite custom?
So I don't like to put one custom above any others. I like to give every custom the same amount of effort and do my best on each of them. I know it sounds corny, but to pick one above others, I give everything 110%.
Excellent. That's a good. What advice do you have for young people starting out looking to get into customizing? What would you tell them?
The best thing to do is find people you can ask questions. I run two Facebook groups. I find the younger guys are always going to be able to ask questions. I want a place for them to ask questions. It's good to have guys like legends around. We have Custom King 316 who I run groups with, and it's having the know-how from the guys who've been around and them sharing what they know. And the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to ask questions and venture outside your comfort zone.
Okay, now this is the biggest question we're going to ask you today. Where would you put the Reaper Cup should you win?
I mean, you're looking at it. This is our whole kind of setup. So right between the official Japanese announce table and the American announce table is going to have to be where it goes.
Nice.
Excellent. I like that. So, What would you buy with your ringside collectible card should you win?
I want to come back for season 2 and start a money team backpack. Where we start pulling gift cards out of backpacks.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, probably another belt. I mean, you can't go wrong with having too many belts.
Nice.
Something like that, or stuff for the setup. You can't go wrong with anything else.
Personally, I want a Ric Flair custom robe that I can go around shouting woo all the time in my underwear, so.
The other half of ECW Figure Fed owns said Ric Flair robe, and one of our favorite pastimes is wooing.
Excellent. You talked about briefly that you have some people that influenced you when you first got into the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. The Reaper himself. I mean, he's inspired the paint job I'm using here in round 1.
Oh man, thanks.
It's got to be guys like Beatties who kind of paved the way for all of us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Started as a customizer and now works for WWE doing the figures for the Loot Crate.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy. I heard Nick Manawa, who helps us with this podcast. He's from the old Wrestling Figs days too, and he was saying that Beatty does that too. And I'm like, man, Beatty was like legendary. Like, I mean, when we, I wish there was better pictures that were still around of his work, because he was doing carded figures. Like, that's the only reason I do carded figures. I've said it before, like, because he used to do them, man. And like sculpt heads from scratch, everything. He was a beast.
Changed the game with everything he did.
Yeah.
It was the carding was one of a kind, the head sculpts, and it all predates the decal world.
Oh yeah.
So that to me is such a huge advancement, is the decals and the head casting that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago when we were starting doing customs.
For sure.
None of that was there. The eBay community was even sketchy then too. I mean, I remember buying things off of eBay and not getting them back in the day.
Oh man, yeah, that's for sure. Well, that was crazy too. I mean, the Wrestling Figs really, that's what, like why we wanted to run this tournament was like back then we used to have those tournaments and contests. But then it was also like, I hate to like say it, but it wasn't like everyone was like giving honest opinions about each other's work. And that's something that's really disappeared, I think, because no one wants to, sound bad to other people's work.
You get a lot of guys holding what they say or sugarcoating it. Or you just have people who just don't care and are totally brutal on people.
Yeah, that's true.
I find it, if you don't have anything positive to say, then like it and move on. There's a lot of guys out there who just put out some amazing work as well. You get Showstopper, Custom King, guys like that throwing just amazing customs out whenever they get a chance, and Scribbles himself too.
Yeah, and they're helpful dudes. I mean, Custom King, I've talked to him a lot. I mean, he's just a sweet dude, and man, his
if you're watching this, Scribbles, quit plugging your freaking figures because they are outrageous on eBay, and I'm trying to win one, man.
Oh yeah, never actually won a Scribbles figure. I tried to win the Vampiro that you did, didn't manage to get that one.
Oh man. And then who else? Yeah, Showstopper. I've been talking to him a lot lately. It's so weird that we're both working on our own meals, and he was like, "Hey, what body you use for meal?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna use a Connor now because my other torso is too skinny," and his is, man, he's a beast. He works so fast, but I'm loving his work too. So I'm excited that he's on as a judge.
How does he do that? He just cranks it out. It's like boom.
Man, and he's got a full-time job too, like me. I don't know how.
Showstoppers had that speed, and he paved the way kind of for what I like to call the hybrid custom, where it's fine painting and decals.
Yeah.
He's kind of paved the way for that and made it the norm to see decal and painted custom, whereas in the past it was either all decal or all hand paint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, when I got out of customizing the first time, decals weren't even available. It was like they were so bad that you wouldn't even want them on your figure, Now it's like...
I mean, look at printers. Printers have come so far in the time.
No, the one thing I wanted to cover that I think is really perfect here is you guys take great photos, man. I love your guys' page because I think taking action figure photography is an art form of itself. So it'd be really cool here if you could give some tips for everyone who's photographing their work, because I think that's one thing that falls flat a lot of times. Like, you can have a great custom, so what are some tips and tricks for photographing figures, specifically from your account that you've managed to you want to share?
It's definitely lighting. Lighting has become a huge thing. I've gotten a lot of advice from groups that I joined on Facebook, and lighting is definitely the big thing, and having a backdrop that you can see. In the past, I started with a poster board, like a science fair poster board, a black one, and now, I mean, like everybody, I have the extreme sets. It's positioning in your camera. Have a tripod, take a good picture. iPhone cameras work.
Is that what you use?
Yeah. Honestly, my phone's right here. My iPhone 7 is what I take everything here with.
Oh, wow, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, today I was going through Facebook, as we all do, scrolling down, and I saw this picture of the Elite, and I'm sorry if this is someone's photo out there, but it was a picture, and it was so dark, you couldn't actually see the figures. And I thought, you're not selling your work. You want to give the best possible photo for your work, and I thought it was really disappointing that I couldn't see the figures. I even tried to zoom in, and it's just too dark.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having either when you see a custom and it's too dark or it's sitting on a cluttered desk, that's kind of my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
The cluttered. I'm like you. I saw your Facebook. My desk is almost identical to yours, where it's
awesome.
immaculate.
Yeah.
Working clutter. Working in clutter is you get stuff on your figures that you're working on. You get scraps on them. You don't need that. So have a clean workspace where you take photography and where you customize.
Yeah, that's weird too, because I mean, I know when I first started too back in the day, my desk looked so bad. I would just paint on the wood, and it's like I think age gives you a little perspective where it's like, man, I'm gonna be a little neater here.
Oh, definitely. I think that having a clean desk is probably one of the biggest tips I can give to the younger guys is be organized.
So then what about lighting setups? No flash, right? I think a lot of people use flash, or do you use flash?
I don't use flash directly when I take pictures. Everything is lighting. We have a lot of heavy-duty lights. The biggest one being biggest light is about, a foot?
Wow.
Yeah, we have a 1 foot bulb and then 2 smaller photography lamps. So I have a three light setup here.
Oh, man, that's crazy. So you usually like highlight center and then both sides at an angle, or?
We try to do it as much as possible, depending on what we're shooting and how we're shooting for. You adjust the lighting. The big thing now is we're trying to shoot for stop motion, so that's kind of the next front for us.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's
and then,
gonna be exciting.
What about editing? And the reason I'm asking all these questions, because I want, if you guys, if people are listening to this before they submit. This will come out, Friday? So they'll have like 2 days or whatever to submit their work. I want everyone to have the best picture possible. I find one of the big things is not only watermarking, which we want to touch on, but editing. What kind of editing software? I mean, not everyone has Photoshop, so
that's actually where my background comes into play. My college courses that I took were for graphic design, so I'm a Photoshop guy. Photoshop, ZBrush. Kind of what I play around in.
That's awesome.
But GIMP is free for the guys who want to get into it. GIMP is a free software exactly like Photoshop, great for decals and touching up your photos.
Wow.
And one of the better apps on your phone, you can get apps to do watermarking. And the other thing I use from my phone specifically is Stop Motion Plus. It's like a $5 in the App Store app. And it leaves on the screen, it leaves you kind of like a ghosted image of what you previously had just taken a picture of.
Oh, no way. So that's cool. Yeah. I have to check that out.
And once again, could you plug your Instagram so everyone knows where to look?
So we are ECW FigureFed. Hashtag ECW FigureFed is the easiest way to find us. And if you can't find us there, check Extreme Sets. We've been featured on Extreme Sets, 4 times now, I think it is?
Yeah, that was awesome. And Extreme Sets, for people who don't know, is like the dioramas, the backdrops.
Yep, right here we got them. Yeah, they do a lot of good work, and it's not just limited to wrestling. It's kind of everything.
Yeah, I was going to get a dojo one for, actually, it's weird. I have it pulled up over here, a dojo one from a Pentagon Junior.
Oh, okay. So what do you do? Which Pentagon you got in the works? A dark Pentagon?
Penta OM. I got a couple Penta OMs. I was working, I got a couple different recipes. I'm always trying to, improve on my other recipes. And, My Pentagon is Devon, usually what I use now, because I like that shirt. I like the sculpted shirt. I kind of like the barrel-chested Devon part of it, too. And you know, one of the things that everyone else was using back then was like, or when I got back into it when I was doing some research, was that old shredded Rey Mysterio from like the
Yep.
you know the Halloween one. So I had tried to use that torso, and I put on Road Dogg legs, and it just looks way too skinny. So I was really upset at it. So now I'm gonna go back to a Devon torso, but now I have like this perfect, and it's like the best image that I've put on a Pentagon shirt on this Rey Mysterio one. So I might have to make another one, but I'm gonna make a couple Elite Penta OMs, and I like the gold. The gold at first I didn't like, but it's really grown on me. So
Me too. I did one or two. Looked at doing the gold when I first did mine, but I went with the kind of the classic zebra print.
yeah, man, me too. And zebra's my favorite. Like probably, it's tough because I mean, what? How do you paint gold? What's your favorite paint for gold?
I have a really nice Citadel I use for gold. Forget which brand. It's a specific Citadel gold that works really well that I've used. Otherwise, it's going to be Vallejo.
Oh
Their
man,
paint
yeah.
really good.
And those
That's
are the model color lines, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I'm using in the airbrush.
Yeah, they're already thinned down. They're perfect. I mean, for me, yeah, one of the new paints I've been getting into is Reaper paints, and that's like the best black I've ever seen.
Gee, yeah, I wonder why he likes those.
But like, it's legitimate, man. It's an awesome paint, so that's very cool.
No, it's definitely up there. I find the thing that on Pentagons that gets a lot of people hung up is the tattooing over joints. You have
Yeah.
a lot of tattoos on Pentagon that go over arm pegs and over the arms, and decaling over joints is just not something that gets done a lot, or it doesn't get done properly. It gets
Right.
done as a big sheet, and it's not treated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean a decal, if you apply some of that like microsol or microset, it really helps to make that soft to where it would mold into those forms. And I mean a lot of people are just scared to, decals take just as much work. I mean I'm not saying they take as much skill or as motor skills.
Oh, yeah.
We won't even touch that debate, but they take just as much time, if properly applied, to cut the decal into small enough areas to where you're piecing them onto the arm, because it's not like if you cut it as one big sticker and you throw it on there, your decal's going to turn out awful.
Oh yeah, no,
Exactly.
it was a process learning to. So I learned to make my own. I do everything I do in house, decal wise.
Oh man.
So my own from starting from Google Images to final product.
That's
so
crazy.
What you're gonna see from me, the decal I did use in round one, is custom made in house.
Oh
one
man,
of
I'm
the-
excited.
One of the ideas I had for this was, depending on how far we go, how many customs I do with decals, was putting together kind of a care package for everybody else with decals that we use here.
That'd be very cool. That'd be very cool. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was walking around Target at night, and I grabbed a notebook, and I remember back in the old wrestling figs days, I'm sure you remember, there was like this thread that was pinned, and I'm sure it's still there, but this was like 2003, 2002, this thread of all these part recipes, and I thought it'd be cool, like, for the Custom Underground or whatever, to have this recipe book of essentially parts for figures. And so it was crazy that you said that, because that's kind of like that same notion of, community and like having a care package, because decals, I don't make my own decals, so I don't even know, I've tried it for my statues. I sculpt some statues and stuff, but not for these figures, which is crazy.
It's a process learning the size and stuff, but it comes with the territory. The thing I kind of thought would be fun for the competition, or at least for the finals, would be having everybody work off the same parts.
Ooh,
where
yeah.
they're your head cast, your Pentagon head cast in the same parts, and everybody's working from the same place.
Oh, I like that. I love
That
that.
is a good
actually.
idea.
I think for a final round to be everybody working from the equal point is going to bring out a lot more competition in them.
Yeah, I do. Plus, when it's like down to the final two, man, that's gonna be like cutthroat.
Oh yeah, I would
love
imagine.
that idea. Oh man, so okay. What about this round? Is there anything you want to say about what you've been working on, or is it all secret?
No, I will give it away. I chose a masked wrestler very near and dear to our hearts here at ECW. Kind of a hardcore legend in the world of masked wrestlers, and it's Hayabusa.
Yeah, That's awesome.
I've always kind of fell in love with the early Japanese figures of Hayabusa, the blues, the blacks, and I figured it was time to do an elite one, kind of bring it up, and that's where your paint scheme comes in.
Oh man, that's awesome.
With that Hayabusa.
I'm stoked. I can't wait. And then, yeah, man. Oh, I can't wait. I want to ask
We're
more
like
questions,
kids
but I'll
at
wait.
Christmas. We are just waiting to see all these great customs because it's just amazing to us, all the talent that's coming into these, all the work. We've seen some work in progress pictures, and we couldn't be more excited to see the final results that everyone's come up with.
There's definitely some wild competition in here.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we're excited. I mean, this was a blast, man. We talked for 20 minutes. It felt like 5, so we'll have to have you on in the future because this was
All right.
fun.
It's awesome.
Some very good tips. Thank you for coming on, as always.
Thank you.
All right.
Chosen Mad Reaper out.
Take care.
We're back. What an awesome interview. Last week, we talked about Marauder Task Force and asked you to go check out their Kickstarter. I wanted to show off some of the figures. This one, of course, is
Very
me.
cool.
That's actually a Boss Fight Studio custom head sculpt.
You can see the likeness.
Absolutely.
It's very nice.
And this is, of course, Rock and Roll that I did. That's actually a Marauder Task Force head. It looks exactly like Rock and Roll
Wow.
with all their cool guns, accessories. And we have, of course, everybody's favorite, Snake Eyes. Again, their head is just pieces from Marauder Task Force. And finally, we have my favorite because he had Lady J, so of course he'd be my favorite. Blint, Night Force, Danger at the Docks is how they called their Night Force. Yeah, so very cool figures. You can see really quickly. I can't do it on that one because it's glued down, but you pop them off. There's little holes right there, and you just pop on the accessories. They have all sorts of vests and different things, of course, explosives, all sorts of cool guns. So, again, check out the Kickstarter for Marauder Task Force. My upside-down Marauder Task Force pin. All right.
Yeah, for those of you that can't see, those are some G.I. Joe scale customs, which if you can't see, chances are you're probably listening to this on the iTunes, on the BMNVS network. I think I got that right. But Nick Manawa, again, shout out to him. He's always putting up our episodes and really fast, just as fast as we can put them out. He's got them up. So make sure you're subscribing, downloading iTunes, the Custom Underground, and yeah, I just needed to plug that there because he's awesome.
And check out on Instagram, Manawa Figs and Nick Manawa on Instagram. We're very appreciative of everything he does. We're going to have to hook him up with a custom underground shirt.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to hook him up with a custom underground shirt. And speaking of which, we're kind of tossing around some new ideas too. So if you guys got an idea for a cool one, let us know. Because, yeah, we're going to be doing that here soon too.
So, did you see the Miz promo?
Oh, so this is the part of the show where we talk about real wrestling. No, I didn't. What did he do?
Well, he buried Enzo.
Oh, wow.
And brought up all the legit heat that he supposedly has, which cast as is fake, but I think it's real. Anyway, he absolutely buried him, just like John Cena buried Roman Reigns with the "just pretend I'm a drug test because you can't pass me."
I did catch that one. That was good. At first, when they came out, I was like, "Oh my god, they're doing another Roman and Cena promo," but then they should if they keep being this good.
Well, John Cena and Miz are pros on the mic, and as good as Enzo and Roman Reigns are, they absolutely just couldn't keep up. But speaking of can't keep up, sometimes you have to celebrate the small things in life. The Browns had a parade because they only lost by 3 points to the Steelers. So sometimes you just celebrate the small victories. It's not all about winning. What do you think about WWE handing a cease and desist order to the Young Bucks for forbidding them to do the suck it symbol?
I think, and this is where I got to turn off the other part of my brain, but they're prevented from saying "suck it." They're not prevented from doing the symbol. That's
the
not.
Young Bucks said they couldn't do the symbol. They said the hands thing too.
No,
they were.
They legally they still can. So I mean, I'm sure the cease and desist did say that, and I have no doubt that WWE is trying to go for that. But legally speaking, they can still do the symbol. They cannot say "suck it" because that is the only protectable trademark that they have. You can't.
This is crazy.
Yeah, you can't own a gesture. And
I mean, what's next? You're gonna start suing the Bullet Club for doing the Too Sweet symbol? I mean,
that's why you can't sue for symbols. I mean, they can cease and desist all they want, but they cannot. Yeah. They don't have a protectable action. But "suck it," they do. Luckily, Young Bucks never made a shirt that said "suck it." So,
exactly.
What are they gonna do? I mean, it is really weak. It's really petty. It's really worthless. And I think it's kind of made out of. I think it's not a good thing, but Young Bucks are getting noticed, so that's really cool because
exactly
WWE notices them now, and we're both big Young Bucks fans. So I mean,
so you're telling me that Psych, the TV show, now doing their movie thing, should be careful about saying "suck it."
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing is, so. Patrick knows what my day job is. No one else does, and I kind of prefer to keep it that way. But it is involving the legal field, and one of the big things is like the reason people sue is for the gaining profits or misuse profits or profiting from someone else's property. Fortunately for the Young Bucks, unfortunately, they're merch beasts, like they're merchandise monsters, and they're doing it better than WWE's right now. I think even. And so.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they're selling out. They're out front, and they keep getting loaded up and keep selling out. So, I mean, yeah, if you guys are listening and if you guys are Young Bucks fans, go over to Hot Topic, grab that, because, I mean, you got to support indie wrestling, I think. I know Nick Manowa's podcast, I listen to that too, and those guys are super knowledgeable in all of wrestling, even that aspect. And so indie wrestling, I think it's awesome to be an indie wrestler in 2017, and that's why you guys got to support their merch, So
absolutely, Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Bullet Club, the Young Bucks. Are there any other? And there's more coming to Hot Topic.
Yeah. I mean, the Bullet Club is the big one right now, and you got Marty Scurll and Villain Club. It's just huge. So. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan again, I think.
Absolutely. And it's a good time to be a fan of our podcast because we have exciting things happening this week. 2 great interviews. But we want to say thank you to you, the fans, because that's why we do this. And thank you for tuning in each week and supporting us. And we hope to bring you more great action. Also coming up is the end of round 1, so you're going to want to be sure to tune in next week because the action will be hot.
And if you're participating, good pictures. Like the better pictures we get, the better we can see and the better we can judge. The front, the back, and both sides, and that's at least the minimum that we'd expect. If not,
don't have ropes in the way or something.
Yeah. And if not, I mean, it really only hurts you at the end of the day. So please, let's all give each other
what we see.
The best of a chance, best shot possible, and get us as good of picks as possible. So, yeah, that's all we got. By the time this hits, this will be Friday, Friday the 15th.
TGIF.
So we will have 3 days till Monday. What time is Monday? Is it? Are they due? Is it like by Monday morning at midnight, or is it like?
Is it Sunday at midnight or Monday at midnight?
Sunday at midnight?
Sunday at midnight. There you have it, folks. Sunday at midnight has to be in. This is the chosen one and Mad Reaper.
See you guys later.
Custom Underground.